Hey everyone, Tekking here. No, it's been kind of a delayed episode. Well, you know, stuff happens. Anyway, this time we're finally going to be concluding Inferno. We're going to be going into the last circle of hell, of which we are going to witness the ultimate sin that you can commit. And also, though, right before we start, I will happily admit that I finally got my hands on the Inferno. Yes, it was the only book in the series I have never purchased, so now I own all three. And the reason Purgatorio is really big is because I purchased. This was the first one I bought, and these two I bought from the same store. I bought this at a different store. But you know, actually, this is actually the best one because it has the best translations I can see. This is the Penguin Classic version. These are the Signet Classic versions. They're good. It's just more of a in brief. You can tell because it's a much smaller volume. But I have the books here with me, so that's just great that I own all three. Now, on to the last circle, ninth circle of hell. Okay, so basically after Dante and Virgil go and finish the 8th circle of Malboris, they get to the very bottom where there's a well surrounded by giants, and one of the giants who is unshackled picks up Dante and Virgil and kind of lowers them down into this well. And at the very bottom of this level is it's a massive frozen lake, and the frozen lake is called Kokos. And Kokos is basically, as opposed to the rest of hell, which is, you know, fire and smoke, this is like the place that's like, it's foregone all of that. This is the very, in essence, this is essentially the center of the earth. Now, I know, of course, we all know now that the center of earth is actually considerably more hotter than this, but, you know, maybe just the different, the mindset back in the day, back in that archaic time period, maybe they just figured, you know, the lower you get is actually colder because it's removed from all heat, like the furthest place from the sun. I guess that would be a good apt analogy to put it, like this furthest point from the sun, which is life, and now we're in the center of the planet. So, frozen lake. Now, unlike like the 7th and 8th circles, they also have devising. They're actually broken up into it's more similar to the 7th circle than anything else. It's broken up into 4 separate sections. They're kind of concentric. I'll put up a diagram here. So basically, here's the 9th circle. We have Satan in the very center. We'll get to him. And we have these 4 concentric circles surrounding him that are called rounds. So the first round, Cana, extends all the way around to the other Cana on the other side. And the same for the other one. So they slowly get smaller and smaller until we get to Satan in the very center. So now, the 9th circle, the ultimate sin, is in fact treachery. Those who committed treason or betrayal to something or someone.
Betrayal! What? Betrayal!
So that's why each of the 4 rounds correspond to one of those. The first round, Cana, that corresponds to those that committed treachery to their kin, treachery to their family. It is named after Cain, of course. Cain killed his brother.
Betrayal!
So, these is, the people punished here are all immersed in the lake up to their faces. So they're like covered in the entire frozen lake up until their face. That's the only place that can move. And this is kind of like to show like their face is the one place that like their true emotion can be shown through. So basically, if you've ever seen, this actually was really interesting for me because if you've ever seen The Venture Brothers is a TV show that airs Adult Swim. It's really good. It's really good. It's probably one of the best Western animated shows ever. Anyway, one of the characters in The Venture Brothers is a necromancer. So there's one episode where he's actually traveling through hell and he stumbles upon people that are frozen up to their faces in this massive frozen lake. So it's kind of interesting reading the Inferno because now I discovered, oh, he's in the 9th level, he's in the first round of the 9th circle of hell. That's kind of cool. One person here that is the most noteworthy is Mordred, who is a individual that comes from the King Arthur medieval mythos, that kind of thing. So that was pretty interesting. I haven't read much about King Arthur, which is funny because you think, you know, I'm like, along with Greek mythology, I love Egyptian mythology, I love any kind of medieval Renaissance type deal, just love that stuff. So, yeah, then we go on to the round 2, which is named Enetora, named after Enetora of Troy. This round is for those that betrayed their homeland or their city of birth or the government in that city, something with that. So any kind of political betrayal, this would be right here. This is the place Dante and Virgil encounter an individual known as Count Ugolino, who, I'm not sure who this was, but Count Ugolino and his, he had a partner as well that I guess committed some kind of treacherous acts against his city or whatever. And he is actually sitting there on the frozen lake, gnawing on the flesh of his partner in crime. So that was just like it's funny because he's like gnawing on his past accomplice, and then he sees Dante and Virgil, and he stops doing it just to talk to Dante and Virgil, and then after they leave, he continues to gnaw on them again. He's just like, Oh, shit, people. Wow, jeez, I've been down here for a couple hundred years. Okay, so welcome to the second round of the Ninth Circle of Hell. My name is Count Ugilo. This is where those who traded their city come from. I hope that you all have a very pleasant time here. Okay, going around 3. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you for the company. I haven't had it in very long. Okay, what are we doing again? Whatever. Okay, next up is round 3, which is known as Ptolemaea. I'm butchering these names. I apologize to anyone that's actually read this on a like an actual college level or is actually discussing this, because I am probably butchering the crap out of these names. But this is for those who have betrayed their guests. So, yeah, we go from betraying your family to betraying your homeland to just betraying your guests. I guess it would make sense, sort of, in a way, because, you know, the concept of having guests over to your home was a little bit different back then. You were basically, like, you know, they come over to your home, you're in charge of hosting them, you're in charge of, hoping that they have a good time and everything, and if you betray that trust, you get sent to a frozen lake in the center of the earth, whatever. It's actually interesting. The story behind this one is interesting, because it's called Ptolemaea, most likely named after Ptolemy, who is the son of Abubis? I don't know. Anyway, the basic gist of the story with him is he invited guests over to his home, and then he killed them. Yeah, so, I haven't heard much of this story, but apparently he invited them over for some kind of, like, promising them a banquet or something, and I guess they figured, you know, I guess they must have pissed him off or something. He's like, there's no lobster here? Oh, you know lobster? Okay, well, try this on for size, and just, like, stabs him in the throat or something. I don't know. I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense. I mean, maybe they were his enemies. Maybe he invited, like, oh yeah, come over to my house for a banquet. I'll just, you know, whatever. So basically, with this one, as well as with the first round, they are also encased up to their face in ice, but it mentions that they're punished a little bit more than the other ones previously were, because, as it says, the relationship between a host and a guest, unlike the previous ones, that's completely voluntary. You can't choose your family. You just get the hand you're dealt. You can't choose your homeland. That's just how it goes. The next one is also kind of, well, the next one nowadays would be more diverse, but the next one is betraying against your benefactors or betraying against a god. So in the context of Divine Comedy, it's just how it is. Like nowadays, there's more religions than you can count. Maybe back then they thought like Christianity is like the one religion. So yeah, just because that particular relationship is voluntary, you're supposed to put more care into that one of how it goes, I guess. Okay. So now we come to the fourth round of hell, the Judica, named after Judas Iscariot, who committed the ultimate crime of betraying Jesus Christ. I'm sure we're all aware of that story. If not, Judas Iscariot's the guy who betrayed Jesus Christ. Go read the Bible. It's also interesting because, just a little side note is, I didn't know what Judas's last name until reading this book, and now that I know it's Iscariot, that makes the whole Hellsing thing make so much more sense now. So, yeah, that makes complete sense when it comes to that series, that particular anime. If you haven't seen Hellsing, also very awesome, watch that. Anyway, so basically, by the time Dante and Virgil get to the fourth round, it is completely barren. So everybody, all the sinners that have committed sins and have committed some kind of treason to their god or to their benefactor, they are all lying completely encased in ice. They're not even granted the ability to move, to speak, to look, to hear. They're just completely frozen in ice in very contorted shapes. So at some point, Dante wouldn't even be able to recognize that they're human beings. They've been contorted so much to such an insane degree. And because they're all frozen, they can't even speak, so there's nobody to talk to. So Dante and Virgil just continue their path onto the very center of the fourth round, the end of hell, the very lowest you can get. And here's where we meet the big man, Satan, the fallen angel Lucifer, or, however you want to look at it. Okay, so, Satan, now, in most representations of hell, if you watch hell, and if you've seen hell in any kind of movie or pulp culture or anything like that, hell is usually seen as this massive, fiery, area. Sometimes it's seen as a cavern, sometimes it's seen as a kingdom, but usually the guy in charge of it all is Satan, the devil, Lucifer, whichever. He's the one sitting at the bottom, and he's the one that's, in command of all this. Complete opposite in the Divine Comedy, because Satan is not the ruler in hell. In fact, he is the greatest sinner. He committed the ultimate sin, which is he committed, whereas Judas just betrayed Jesus Christ, the Son of God, Satan committed personal treason to God himself. So, basically, basically all of hell was created after the aftermath of his one sin. So we're not going to get into this more until we get to purgatory. But basically, what happened is after Lucifer, the angel, committed treason to God, God pretty much threw him at the earth, threw him from heaven toward the earth. And now, follow me on this, because I'm totally not bullshitting you. In the context of the Divine Comedy, Satan hit Earth so hard after being thrown by God, it created a massive crater in the planet, which sent Satan to the very bottom, to the very center of the planet. And the afterlying crater that was created by him falling became hell. So God threw him at Earth so hard, he created hell out of the crater. So, and also because he hit the Earth so hard, the resounding shockwave made Earth from the other side of the planet sprout up. So, which would be Mount Purgatory. So, threw him at Earth, smashed into Earth, got smashed to the very center of the planet, and because of the shockwave, knocked up Earth on the other side, which became Mount Purgatory. Wow, okay, Greetings, all my followers. I have a question to ask of you in the most kindest of ways. Who ate the last Cheez-It? Sorry, God, that was kind of me. I didn't know they were yours. I just kind of had them. I had the munchies the other day, you know? God. Yeah. So, Satan himself is any bit as monstrous as you would figure. He's taller than the giants. He has the clawed fangs, wings, 3 mouths, devilish eyes, I would figure, monstrous hair. Now, he has the punishment as well. He's the same as all the others. He has some kind of punishment because he's being the ultimate sinner. He is encased up to the frozen lake, probably like up to his chest, like up to his waist, so he cannot escape. So he's constantly beating his wings, which just creates more wind. It just keeps him, because he beats the wings, cold air creates it, so he just becomes more trapped the more he tries to get away with beating his wings, which also probably created the frozen lake to begin with. Now here's an interesting thing. In the canto itself, Dante describes Satan as crying, as being in a constant state of sorrow for his punishment. But in this illustration, I don't know, he kind of looks more mildly bored than anything else. He just kind of looks like, oh, day 1,864,978. Who wants to play cards? Okay, so along with Satan, the ultimate sinner, we also have the 3 ultimate human sinners. These are the people that committed the ultimate acts of treachery against their benefactors in their time on Earth. So we have 3 of them. Only 3 of them got this far. Only 3 of the worst sinners got this far. We have Judas, which should make sense given the fact that he betrayed Jesus. We have Brutus and Cassius, who both aided in the assassination of Julius Caesar, which kind of led to the whole downfall of the Greek and Roman Empire. So, way to go, Cassius! Way to go, Brutus! We know the whole thing of. I don't think this actually came along until the Shakespeare play of Julius Caesar, but we all know, like Julius Caesar's last words were "it too, Brutus," like you as well, Brutus, because Brutus was in fact one of Julius's close friends. So I don't think he actually said that, though. In most cases, it probably came across that it was in fact added in the Shakespeare play. But still, good play. So and the punishment for these 3 guys is forever getting chewed on by Satan's 3 mouths. Judas is in the center. I believe Brutus is on the right one. Cassius is on the left one. I might have those 2 mixed up, but I know Judas is definitely in the main mouth. And they're constantly just getting chewed on by Satan forever. So that's your ultimate punishment. Don't commit treachery to your benefactors. Don't kill your leaders, or you'll not even technically kill, just betrayal. But a lot of the betrayals involve murders, technically, so yeah. So don't do that. Ultimate sin, you'll end up getting chewed on by Satan. And something I always wondered, what would happen if someone were to commit another act of treason that terrible, because, Satan's out of mouths? I would just assume that, Satan would, if someone were to commit an ultimate treason like that, Satan would just kind of grow a 4th mouth, and how many mouths it needs to be able to chew on the ultimate sinner. So, yeah, there we go. That is hell in a nutshell. That was hell as described by Dante Alighieri in the year 1300, which I believe was just the whole map out of everything, just how it's all carefully laid out, and all the punishments are so ironic. It's truly, I can completely understand why it's regarded one of the greatest, epic poems of our day, because that's just truly, it's truly interesting. So how they get out of hell? Well, this is the part that's a little bit vague. I've read a little bit into this, but it's kind of hard for me to understand. So basically, here's how it goes. It states that Dante and Virgil climbed down Satan's ragged fur. Now, here's the first part I don't get, because it made a big deal about Satan being encased in ice all the way down to his hips. So if you climb down his fur, then you're just going to hit the icy lake. Now, I can assume maybe there's like a small little tiny hole, but whatever. So let's just assume that's the case, because they're in the center of the earth. They're in the center of the planet right now. They want to get to purgatory, which is on the opposite side of the planet. So they climb down Satan's fur. Now, in the context of the Divine Comedy, this is something else that is just interesting. Satan is the center of the Earth's gravity. His essence, him just being in hell creates the center of gravity. So the reason why everyone is held on the planet in such a way, the reason gravity exists, is because Satan is down there frozen in a massive lake. Whatever. So upon climbing down his fur, they end up on the other. They're now officially on the southern hemisphere. Now, because of this, the sense of gravity changes, because they're on a different perspective of the planet. So the sense of gravity changes, which actually gives Dante the impression they're climbing back into hell, because the sense of gravity changes. So they're actually climbing down into the other hemisphere of the planet, and there's a winding path. I don't know if it has a specific name. No, it just says like this, like it's just, I guess, a path that winds throughout the other half of the planet, and they end up emerging among a starry sky, which major symbolism with the starry sky. I'll get to that in a second. And they emerge before Mount Purgatory, just before dawn on Easter Sunday. So once again with the timeline. So essentially, how the layout of the planet is in this archaic time, the planet is basically two hemispheres: the hemisphere of land, where hell is located, and then the hemisphere of water. Now, I know that's obviously not the case, but a lot of people were probably wondering, because we've always been told as kids that like mankind always believed the Earth to be flat up until Columbus's day. This was something that we were told as children, but honestly, in what we've later discovered is that by the time of Columbus, which was mid-late 1400s, most people figured out that the planet was not flat. Like, well, just letting you know if you didn't know that, because I didn't find that out until a couple years back. But yeah, it's probably we probably knew that it was not flat way before Columbus's time. So that's why it has this geocentric, this circular design here for the planet. So yeah, and the whole starry sky thing, it's kind of symbolic, because the last word in every one of these books. So the last word in the Inferno, last word in Purgatory, last word in Paradiso are always stars. That's just the symbolic of the thing where Dante is emerging. So in the Inferno, he emerges in front of a starry sky. At the end of Purgatory, which is where he's ascending to heaven, he's inside the starry skies, and where he's ascending to the starry sky. And then in heaven, he literally basically becomes the star in the sky. We'll get to Paradiso. That's an interesting read on itself. But okay, so that's the end of hell. That's the end of the Inferno. Next episode, we're going to be getting into Purgatory, which we're probably going to do. I was thinking of how to do it, because Purgatory is not nearly as long as the rest of. It's not nearly as long as hell, but it's a little bit more complicated. I don't think not as complicated as heaven. Let me get to the layout here of Purgatory. Okay, so basically we have two sections of Purgatory. We have anti-Purgatory, which is kind of like a and before it's actually kind of like an ante-room before you get into actual Purgatory. So we have that section, which we can probably get done next episode. That's only two sections there. And then after that we have actual Purgatory, where we have each terrace, and these terraces are designed after the 7 deadly sins. So what I could probably do is they might be longer videos, but I can probably get that done in 2 videos. So And possibly, at most, Purgatory is probably going to be 4 videos. Probably at most 1 video for Anti-Purgatory. Probably 2 videos for the terraces. And at the very top, we get to the Garden of Eden. Yeah, the Garden of Eden is on top of Purgatory, the earthly paradise. So that's just interesting in itself. So, yeah, Purgatory next time, guys. We climbed out of hell together. So thanks for sticking with me.